Dream. Dream is something very wonderful. Quite possibly, dream is something specific to human beings. But a lot of studies show that even animals do have dreams. Dogs and cats, experimentally, they might be undergoing some processes similar to dreaming, but by some anatomical indications, that's all. But for human beings, it's a very magnificent, marvelous, mysterious, magical experience. And uh, surprisingly, or fortunately, or unfortunately, human beings just disregard that as a passive phenomenon. And I would say it is a real surprise that human beings can disregard so bluntly so directly experienced phenomenon. I don't know how it happened. Maybe the inherent tendency for logic of the human intelligence uh, from historical time onwards, they disregarded it. And I'm also a little bit surprised. I referred to some of the classics of ancient literature, both in the West and the East. Even they do not refer to any significant way, actually, about dreams or dreaming. Rather, dreaming as one of the most powerful tools of human being. But sometime in 1950s onwards, I suppose, a group of psychologists, especially from, I suppose, from Canada, they got interested in dreaming and they did a lot of dreaming research on dreaming. Then, of course, in US, England, and with the help of high technology, electronic devices, and a lot of research has happened, maybe about the biochemistry and anatomy of dreaming. And but of course, Sigmund Freud had already mentioned about dream, and he used dream analysis as an active method for discovering or identifying clues to explain some of the unique mentally ill conditions. And perhaps Freud is the only one major psychologist, maybe the only one psychologist who has done significant reflection on the process of dream. And his book, Interpretation of Dreams, I suppose at least 700 pages, this thick. But none of the symbols or the symbolic validity of Freud's interpretations of dream uh, have been accepted by the general group of psychologists, because they are, of course, obviously they are not as original as Sigmund Freud. Anyway, I also have devoted a lot of time on understanding dreams, and for some reason I happen to consider dreaming as a very active process. So most of the days I really loved to go to sleep, even when I was maybe adolescent times, so that I could have dreams. So that is the beauty of dreams. Anyway, currently, I suppose there are some psychologists or behavioral scientists who uh, continue to do research in dreaming, and they use the word dreaming as an action, as an activity, as a controlled activity by which individuals can develop most of their hidden competencies and get clues and all that. Um, Especially a group of creativity researchers are also spending a lot of time on dreaming, because by the by the biographical reports of some of the great creative scientists, especially, they openly stated that clues for their major scientific inventions and discoveries actually occurred during dreams. So in India also, two, three people were interested in dreaming. There was a guy called Dr. Francis Meneses. Of course, I think Meenakshi must have seen him also. Dr. Francis Meneses, who was the director of Tata Management Training Center in one Mangaldas Road, Pune, a beautiful building. I have been to that place. So Dr. Francis Meneses he had his PhD from some top university in England. He was very fascinated about dreaming. He even conducted training programs in dreaming. And I too was interested in dreaming, so I had a few discussions with him. So in that discussions, I could clarify some of my, or rather, I could get some of the clues, and subsequently, I happened to uh, read um, uh, the works of Carlos Castaneda, where he also talks about dreaming. I suppose I'm not sure. Mandra, Carlos Castaneda. I mean, don't even talks about dreaming.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I suppose correct, correct.
And he also talks about how we can control our dreams and make it work the way we want it to.
Oh, okay, okay. Subsequently, when I was at XLRA, I came across the books of Carlos Castaneda, and in that also dreaming was mentioned. And in fact, I had by that time much more clues than whatever is stored in the book of Carlos Castaneda. And I have done a lot of my own journey using dreaming. Uh, and it was a wonderful time. And nowadays, again, I am sort of free. Uh, Once in a while, I try dreaming. Uh, it is very wonderful. You can get a lot of clues, but the problem is the clues and the cues that I could get from dreaming. They were all about things which are very much far away from our normal concerns of life or work or relationships. They're all absolutely marvelous, very strange, very unusual, non-ordinary, or what Don Yuan calls it's all about a separate reality. But whatever, though dream was not a concern for the regular rational scientific mind, everybody used the concept of dream to represent a so-called dream in life. You should have a dream. And there's a famous quote by APJ Abdul Kalam also. I don't remember it exactly. Anyway, uh, a dream. And using this opportunity, I would like to tell you all to take your dreams a little seriously. I mean, as something very natural, and do not disregard it. Uh, Most of the time, the dreams may look very mysterious and irrational, but take it that way. Uh, Please remember our preliminary condition. I sort of established in the very beginning of our sessions that genius and self, genius and self, we do not differentiate between the real and the unreal, the dream and the non dream or anything. For us, the parables are as real as the ongoing happening of right now, let's say the rains in Kerala. The experience of the master woodcutter is as real as your experience of going to the first day of your degree program. So, do not differentiate dreams either. And you can start your own personal journal of dreams. You can keep a book near your bed, and if you get up in the night having a dream, take your will to sit down and write the dream. It is very important because uh, even for me, after so much years of experience, even in controlling dreams, because of some laziness, I would continue to sleep, thinking that tomorrow morning I will remember that and write down. So called tomorrow morning, I would not normally remember that I had a dream. If at all I remember, as I write, we can see quickly vanishing. Oh, it's a very surprising experience. When you sit to begin to write, the entire, let's say 90% of the dream is in our memory. Because of the previous experience that it would be forgotten. When I am writing, I continue to scan the entire length of the dream. But as I write, things are just like that getting deleted. So as much as possible, write down immediately after the dream in the night, and keep a diary. Write down every dream in a separate page. Just like that, keep it, because that is the way your conscious attention creates a linkage with that most powerful, mysterious weapon, the most powerful engine of this human entity. Okay. Uh, when you do that, that is the way you begin with. Like you begin holding on to the handle of the cycle and try on that. You begin by holding on to the handle of writing a dream in your book. That alone will sort of trigger a next a 1 degree rise in the process of dreaming, and subsequently, whatever happens, then you follow accordingly. I don't want to tell anything more. Okay, the dreaming girl Anuradha is here. Let us see what is her dream about. All right, welcome Anuradha, Ganesh. Come on.
Uh, Thank you, sir. Uh,
You are welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good
Uh,
evening.
I'm Good evening. Uh, I'm actually a very active dreamer. I dream almost every day when I sleep. I have dreams, something or the other. I always have.
Oh, that's
Of
so
course, I have
lucky. All
not
right, good.
taken the effort of writing it down. Yeah.
But
And there are dreams that repeat. There are dreams that I don't like. There are dreams that I like. All kinds of dreams come. Yeah, but I have not written any of them down. And as Sir said, I also forget by the time I wake up. Within 5 minutes, I forget the entire dream. Uh, but the dream that I speak about in my presentation is not exactly that dream. It's more to do with my aspirations and fantasies in life. Okay, so I'll just start sharing my presentation. Please let me know once you are able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Dikhi
Yeah,
rahi hai.
yes, yes,
it's
yes.
Yes.
clear.
So there is
Yes, sir.
music in the dream.
Yes, there is.
Okay, and it is very colorful also.
Yeah. Just trying. Okay, fine. It's okay. Just trying to push my screen on one side, but I'm not able to do that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll start with my presentation. Okay. Before I start with my presentation, uh, I would like to thank Sir, that is Dr. Prasad Sundarajan, for giving me this opportunity to present my learnings, and of course, above all, for allowing me to be part of this program. I would also like to thank each and every one of you for being part of my uh, learning journey. Yeah, I would also like to make
That's
a
very good.
confession here. Yeah, I'd like to make a confession here. This has been one of the most difficult assignments that I've ever done, and it has not been easy to identify my learnings. Uh, I think it is more than a month since Sir gave us this assignment. Right from the time he gave us this assignment, I've been pondering over it. What is my learning? What is my learning? And it has been very difficult to identify what my learning is, and how it has been. Uh, and then then after that, the presentation started with Nityaji's presentation and Ramesh's presentations and all the other presentations that followed. Though they in one way they added clarity on what could possibly be a learning from this session, they also added to my confusion in another way. Uh, And finally, I don't know, after thinking about it for almost 4 5 weeks now, I've been able to identify some of my learnings and I'll present them to you as follows. So I've titled my presentation. Yeah, and one more thing, I tend to speak fast. So if I
Yeah.
dictate
Yeah.
fast,
That I will do.
please
I
don't
will.
hesitate
I
to
will
slow
do.
me down.
I will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm making a conscious attempt to be slow, but yeah, sometimes, especially if I get tense, I tend to be quite fast. Okay.
That is very
Uh,
interesting. When people become tense, they become slow and they are not able to even talk. So when you are tense, you will drive really fast. To drive fast, that means you are very good in controlling your thought process. That's good.
okay. Okay.
That's good. Very good. All right. I know.
Okay. So I've titled my presentation "Notes of a Dream." As I just mentioned, it has got to do with my aspirations and uh, my fantasies in life, and not the dream as a typical sense of a dream that we see at night. And also one more aspect which I will explain as we go further. Okay, I'll put it on the presentation mode. It becomes easier for me to then do it. Yeah.
But I have a question to you before we begin.
Yes, sir.
Right now,
Please.
you said something that
Hmm.
though you have given the keyword dream in your title, you
Yeah. Just
you
yeah.
said it is whatever you are going to speak now. They are not typically kind of contents of dream, but your aspirations and goals in life. All right. Then I
Yes.
have a question to you. Why even eminent
Okay.
people, even eminent thinkers, philosophers, educationists, and so-called motivation speakers and other inspiring leaders talk to other people,
Mm.
especially to young generation? You should have a dream in life.
Mm.
Why do they use? What the
Mm.
why in that context dream is used? If dreams are so, little different from aspirations and goals and objectives in life, why they use the concept dream? What is your explanation for that? What is your
Uh,
explanation?
I think I think it is because we see dreams as separate from reality. It has not been realized yet, and it is something very something that we imagine and something that we it's in our imagination and not in reality the way maybe physically or actually present the way we live in our reality.
No, no,
So
no.
it is something that has not been realized yet. So that's why they call it a dream.
That means conventional goals and aspirations in life are not
Hmm.
yet realized. Therefore, they call it a dream.
Yes.
Okay, then, but the actual dream, they are not about aspirations or imaginations or realizations at all. They're far, far away from anything real. The very way which you now talked about imaginations and objectives in life that are yet to be realized.
Hmm.
So, in that sense, both are more or less the same. Also, dream also is not about anything real. Then, then,
Yeah, dream is also not anything real.
yeah,
Both in terms of the goals and what we see at night, both are not real yet.
yeah, not real yet. Therefore, they use the
Yes.
concept that you should have a dream.
Yeah, we
Therefore,
should aspire for something that is not real yet. You have to make it real.
okay, and dreams are more or less never real. Okay, is it so?
Mm.
In which case, why should they use the word dream? You should have goals in your life. You should have aspirations in your life. You should have clear purpose in life. They could use those words. Why do they use the word dream? I am asking again. I mean, anyway, okay, you, of course, I asked your explanation, but you did not
Mm.
explain it. Or if you clearly explain why these great speakers, in fact, uh,
Mm.
use the concept of dream, in case of
Mm.
instead of how please, okay, my dear students, you should all have an aspiration, you should also have a purpose in life, etc. Instead of that, why do they use the word dream? If dream is something irrational, if dream is something impossible, if dream is something happening in our sleep and all that, why do they use the concept of dream? Why is so much of fascination about using the concept of dream? Much more clear is to say we should have purpose in life. Like we had in our beginning statement of purpose,
Mm,
goals and objectives in life. When
mm,
such a clear and uh, um, rather sensible words are there, why these people
yeah.
use the word dream? That is my question.
Mm,
Reflect upon that. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I'll think about
Yeah.
it.
Come on. What? Anybody else has any other explanation? Why the great speakers, great philosophers, great thinkers, very genuinely they use the concept dream. You should have a dream.
Because dream triggers the power of intellect, that is imagination and visualization, to do it feel as a real. It,
Okay. All
dream,
right.
yeah.
Tintin. All right. Okay. Tintin.
Dream is original to every individual. That's one
What
thing.
do you mean? What do you mean by saying that dream is original to every individual? Meaning it is originated in the system of every individual.
Yes, and each
Oh,
individual has their own separate dream, which is totally different from another person's.
okay.
And it's also something which you have to trigger or you have to analyze or which you have to, nobody else can work on it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, Ashwati.
Dreams are non ordinary experiences and they show you something extraordinary as possible.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay. Actually,
Normal goals and
but
aspirations can be more realistic, but dream will show you something which you will never think of in a normal day when you are awake.
okay. In which case, the speaker, I mean the philosopher, educator, should not tell the students that you should have dreams.
I got a clue from Ashwati, sir. Can
Okay,
I
all right,
contribute that
okay.
clue?
That's good. That's good. All of you should do that. That's what Anuradha also mentioned in the beginning that she is thankful to every one of you. That's why we have this group, and I expect to anticipate more and more, much more creative reviews and creative perceptions or creative responses and dialogues from every one of you. It has not yet started, but of course you have already started. But I want much more sharpness of your originality of responses. All right. Yes, Tintin.
So, not only are dreams related to each individual, they are original, they are not tied down by logic, and they can be anything which is unfettered. It goes
Therefore,
beyond.
no. Wait, Tintin. This is actually Anuradha is making the presentation uh, because of the special what you call uh, nature of our program. We interviewed her and discussing on the concept of whatever I asked. It is not a discussion on dreams. Now, Tintin is slipping on to discussion on dreams. No, the question is very clear. Uh, Anuradha said, though we did, as an introduction, because of the background I gave, that what I am going to talk about is not uh, 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 like the normal contents of a dream, which are pure whatever. But these notes, which she is going to present, are quite reasonable, rational, and in so-called real life. So then my question is, if dreams are about imaginary, irrational, mysterious, magical orbits of whatever, why the great thinkers included, great philosophers included, mystics included, tell the young generation, whenever they address the young generation, you all should have a dream. Why they so use that word? if dream is irrational, magical, and mysterious, and so on. That is the question. So, any explanation? So, Anuradha gave
Sir,
her
yeah.
explanation. Naveen said something. Indian also said something in the beginning. Ashwini said,
Sir, I have one more.
uh,
So they say that so that we don't limit the goals we set,
yeah,
limit ourselves in the goals we set.
okay. Yeah, it seems to be a good observation. We are right now, as usual, what I am looking for is in which way you would respond to this seemingly non-normal question. Whether you have an explanation, which I have told you sometime back, that explanation need not be so-called rationally correct, but it should have a logic of consistency. Like Asadi said now. What did you say, Asadi, right now? That you can have an aspiration unlimited by the logic, or it can be as magical as that in a dream, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Now, anybody else?
So dream is a reality, possible reality at a later point of time. It is a reality, it's a conceptual visualization of what is dreamt. And
But
the goals and the whatever goals and the parts are only languages that drive in that direction.
the normal objectives and goals, especially of a primary student or a high school student, are yet to be achieved. A primary class 5 student says that I want to be a collector, or a young girl says I want to become a pilot. It is yet to be achieved. I wanted every one of you to see the film Gunjan Saxena. It is almost the entire script is based on a rigorous analysis of the actual biography of an actual living person. So that also is yet to be achieved only. But Veena has a point, yeah. If it is a realistic, for example, Anuradha right now mentioned that some of her dreams are repeating, and if you there are at least 3 journals on dreaming, and greater in fact Stanford University and I forgot some other university, they have dedicated research teams on dreams. And if you read those dream records, it is like a great fiction. And there are cases where somebody had a dream and it happened, and so on and so forth. So, in that sense, all right, that is a possibility also. Okay, yeah. Anybody
Sir,
else?
I have an observation. I have an observation.
Who, Anuradha?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Dreams, they tend to be either very disturbing or very exciting.
Okay.
So they create an imbalance in you.
Okay.
So till the time you find a solution to that dream, or whatever you have seen, or something that has excited you, you tend to be very in a state of disturbed state. So you try to create a balance by achieving that whatever goal or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So it's a process of,
That's a very
yeah.
process driven explanation. Okay.
Mm.
All
Can I
right.
try? Can I try?
Okay. All right. Uh, that's a very deeper level of engaging Anuradha. Good. All right. Yeah. Anyway, come on, Meenakshi.
So I think dreams are an expression of the subconscious mind. And hence the topic of dreams are mostly those which are very deeply internalized by a person. And I think that is probably one of the reasons why motivational speakers and leaders talk about having a dream. What they mean is have something that you really and deeply care about and want. And hence the use of the term dream.
No. You're also, you have gone little faster towards the last part of your talking. I couldn't understand fully what you said in the last 2 sentences.
So I was saying that dreams are basically an expression of the subconscious
That
mind.
is clear. That was all clear.
And
Towards the end, whatever you said was
yeah,
not clear.
I'll repeat it. And hence, the themes of a dream are usually those that are deeply internalized by the person. And that could be the reason, the internalization could be the reason why motivational speakers and leaders talk about having a dream, meaning that your dream should be something that you deeply care about,
No, no,
want,
no,
and
no, no, no,
aspire
sorry.
for.
Yeah, your goal should be something deeply, all right. Not dream,
Yeah,
goal. Yeah, goal. Okay. Like dreams are operating from the so-called non-conscious levels of the mind. Dreams
yeah,
should achieve that kind of a position which will continuously drive.
exactly,
All right. Okay.
exactly. Drive a
Okay. Okay.
person.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anuradha, please continue. Yeah. Notes of a dream. Okay. So here you mean musical notes, right? Or notes.
Yeah, musical notes,
Notes meaning the symbols of a
both
dream,
both musical notes.
or the language of a
Yeah,
dream,
both ways.
or the main points of a dream, right? Uh, all right.
Yes,
Okay. Please proceed now.
both ways.
Oh,
So this is basically about my learnings from the Genius Choice Fellow program. So as I said before, it has not been easy for me to identify the learnings. So I thought I'll start with the referent of learning. What is learning for the first place? So I refer to the dictionary. So learning has been defined as an activity or process of gaining knowledge or skill by studying, practicing, being taught, or experiencing something. The activity of someone who learns. So uh, it's a process. You're gaining something, or there's some change that happening. So it's a modification of a behavioral tendency by experience, such as
uh,
exposure to conditioning.
by the way, Anuradha, this is precisely the concept sense of learning. When
Mm,
somebody does this, the
mm,
activities, when you describe that, they are the
mm.
reference of learning. Okay, which also you will talk only, no problem. You
Okay.
cannot take somebody and make what you call observations on the doing of somebody when they are doing this process of gaining knowledge. But what you
Mm.
have written here is the concept sense, and that concept
Okay.
sense is more or less, uh, uh, in a way, little more explained or edited, becomes the
Mm.
description or report of the referent also.
Okay. Okay.
That's why Amaya said yesterday that the reference of all
Mm.
reference are basically words only. Yeah.
Mm.
So when you specifically said this is the referent, actually this is precisely the concept sense. The process, let's say,
Okay.
process of gaining knowledge. That is,
Okay.
let's say, that is the concept sense. But if you
Mm.
explain or describe the process involved or the various steps that comprise the process of developing knowledge,
Yes.
that becomes the referent of learning. That's all. I just use this opportunity to clarify referent and concept sense. All right, correct, good. Okay,
Okay.
proceed.
Okay. Yes, I understood. Yeah.
And this is something very important. Everybody should understand this. At least the world should understand. Because
Mm.
in our so-called education system, they do not have that clarity, even concept level, what is learning. This is what
Mm.
I always tell. I write even in the Facebook. I have written even to the Prime Minister of India that the what you call the education people or policymakers must consider including some fundamentals of psychology, preferably from class 5 onwards, so that the students will be benefited. Great majority of people will be changing. India will have a significant, a critical mass of wonderful people if they just have this subject in their syllabus. So I remember this when she is defining this learning. Anyway, please continue, Anuradha. Yes, okay.
Okay. Uh, then I went on to the referent reality of learning. What is my understanding of learning? So for me, it is bringing about some change in me. It could be a change in my understanding, my skills, my attitudes, beliefs, values, my mindset. So it involves anything, any change in me that I maybe forcefully or consciously bring in. Uh, it includes knowing, doing, and being. So there are learnings in which I just know about it. There's some awareness level that I have some information or something that I get to know about it. So that is at the knowing level. If I'm able to actually incorporate my learning into my actions, then it comes into the doing level. And if I'm able to sync my knowing and doing with myself and all aspects of myself, then it becomes a learning at the level of being. So this is my understanding of learning. And going further, I was just trying to reflect further on what all learning involves. Then I came to the concept of rote learning. I wanted to mention specifically here because this is a point of botheration for me right from my school days. As I mentioned before in my sessions, and maybe as Sir has also told, I've been a very good student academically. Uh, I got reasonably good grades, and I was a rank holder in my degree, and various other courses that I've attended. I got reasonably good grades. If not the topper, I got good grades. And if I'm asked to see how much I've been able to incorporate those learning into my life, I don't think I've been able to do a very good job of it. For instance, did psychology in my degree program. I know all the theories of psychology, but actually, if I'm not able to see the theory and apply the theory practically in my day-to-day life in understanding the human mind and various other aspects. The same goes for my management program and all the other academic programs that I've attended. So I feel that rote learning is of no use other than maybe getting grades or getting a rank or whatever it is. So learning is not about repeating what is told in the sessions or the classes, but having an understanding and, if possible, applying it into day-to-day life. That is what I feel learning should be. As I said, I was reflecting whether my learnings from the Genius Choice Fellow program has also been a rote learning. The first answer that I got was yes, this is also something similar to rote learning. I've understood all the theory as to what a referent is, what a referent reality is. But am I able to see the referent in or the referent reality in my day-to-day life? Maybe with my relationships or my interactions with the people around me. Am I able to apply it? The initial answer was no, but then I started observing further. Then I realized I'm doing it to some extent. I'm trying to understand what the referent of various aspects is, but uh, I'm not sure as to what level I've been able to do it well. Uh, so that is regarding my learning, and then the other aspect that has been blocking me here is the comparison uh, to my mother. She has also been part of this program, I think, for the last 2 decades. So she has said a number of times that she has benefited greatly from doing this program, and I have seen it in action in her life. For instance, if somebody comes and talks to her, she immediately understands what the referent of it, and she's able to reply to that, and maybe make an impact on the person whom she is speaking to. That's what she does when clients come and speak to her or come to her for counseling sessions. But I have not been able to do this. I'm not able to understand the referent. I'm not able to maybe respond to the referent of what an individual is speaking to me. So this is something that has been troubling me, and I don't see a similar thing here. So, but maybe in some other aspect of my life, it has maybe impacted or I've been able to use it in my life. So I just jotted a few of my learnings from this program. The one is
Wait.
yes,
But yeah,
yeah,
I really appreciate your sincere reporting of your genuine experiences. Yeah, but
okay,
the so-called comparative reports about you and the Veena Ganesh, that's not correct, because
okay.
nobody had come to you asking for therapeutic support or some kind of a guidance. That's why.
So not exactly. I had, one of Amma's clients initially she came to me. I did try my hand at counseling, but I was not. I asked her all kinds of possible questions. I made a list of all possible questions, but still, I was not able to address the referent.
Yeah, that is because you are beginning. That's only one case, right? Only one,
Yes,
not two,
yes,
not
only
even
one.
two,
Yeah,
not even two. So,
yes.
so that is quite okay.
Hmm.
That's quite okay. That's not a you said you were able to ask so many questions. That itself is a great achievement. It is not easy to ask so many questions.
Hmm.
And for that questions, you got answers. So from that
Yes,
answers,
yes.
you are not able to conceptualize the whatever problems or symptoms or conflicts the person had, and therefore, that's all.
Yes,
That's
I'm
all.
not able to proceed further. I mean, once I receive the answer, I don't know what to say further.
Yeah,
And
that,
not one, and I've had other instances also. There are other people who have come to, not for counseling per se, but they have come asking me for advice on various aspects, what to do with their career, how can I, why am I not able to progress,
okay,
and such things.
all right. But that's what I said. Because she is your mother, perhaps there was an element of underestimation or familiarity trap. I
Hmm.
have told her many times that I will not be able to do what she does.
Hmm.
Yeah, she is not doing the conventional so-called psychotherapies which you learned in your books. And
Yes.
of course, she has been trained in referent reality perception, linkage analysis, and all that. You do
Hmm.
not know that. You tried your understanding of whatever kind of therapies you knew. That is why.
Hmm.
Those kind of
Hmm.
therapies just cannot do. That's why I
Hmm.
created that therapy. Why
Hmm.
psychologists are becoming increasingly, absent in the domain, because conventional approaches cannot resolve a psychological issue. As a result, psychiatrists are dominating the picture. That's why
Hmm.
we visualize the concept of creativity therapy. Here,
Hmm.
the difference is that you were trying to arrive at solutions for the problems explained by the person. But
Yes.
Kirna is not at all concerned about the problems and solutions. Creativity
Hmm.
therapy is not about that. Creativity
Hmm.
therapy is about whatever be the existing or ongoing conflicts or mental states or whatever of a person. Let it be there. He would just sit there in order for the other person to feel comfortable by talking about that person's personal history and all that. But the beginning of creativity therapy is in taking the attention and reflection and thinking of that person into the next level, different concerns, different orbits of attention.
Hmm.
And when she or he
Hmm.
evolves into that level, the previous levels become unimportant and irrelevant. Anuradha. That is the principal strategy of creativity therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, that is why. Right now, for example, she is doing therapy for an organization,
Hmm.
and I think she managed 4 or 5 cases, and which she
Hmm.
told me I felt absolutely helpless when I thought about me. Even I wouldn't
Hmm.
do what she could do, because it is her
Hmm.
field. I have given her the methodology, like a coach of
Hmm.
Sachin Tendulkar. I had given her
Hmm.
the idea, but she is the Sachin Tendulkar in the field, and she is doing it
Hmm.
wonderfully. That's all.
Hmm.
That is why. So that is so. Whatever you said is not a correct parable or correct case study to make conclusions and analysis about you. Not at all. So leave it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You are capable, and when you come across many people, but I want to tell you, Anuradha, the conventional psychotherapist just will not work because that existed at a certain different historical time. Now people have evolved. Everybody knows most of the ideas told by so-called conventional psychotherapists. They are also informed. Now a lot of most of the people who come today to a therapist, they have tried their best. They have read all kinds of self-help books, some of the direct treatises on therapy, and they might have met already some other psychologists. They had gone to psychiatrists, and then only they come to psychologists. So a normal so-called psychologist that I know, just like a PhD in psychology or a postgraduate diploma from NIMHANS or anywhere in the world, they cannot do with them. I am very sure. I am very sure. Let a so-called PhD in clinical therapy from Princeton or Stanford or Harvard or Oxford cannot do what Veena Ganesh does. No doubt about that. Yes, because the people have changed. You know the case of hysteria, which was a common observation sometime in the previous century. Now there is no single case of hysteria because people have become aware that that drama will not work. So hysteria is completely absent. Same way, people have become evolved. They have tried most of the modern kind of what you call mentally disturbed people. They are all very brilliant, highly academically oriented, very brilliant. Out of that brilliance only, they developed this mental conflict. So how will you interact with a person? For example, currently Veena Ganesh is interacting with a person who is far, far above even Veena Ganesh, in the sense that it's a person who goes out of the body consciously. She is a person who talks with spirits, that level of a person. And Veena Ganesh does not have all those things, but she is managing her. And she openly accepted that you have made a change in me by a written response. So what I mean to say that you just don't care what the other people are in. You must be capable of suggesting a next orbit of attention and perception and reflection and thinking and creating a new self-image for the coming person, and that will work. And like a boy who is interested in cricket becomes interested in the cricket field and throws away all his beloved toys of the past, the so-called other things will become irrelevant and immaterial and non-operative when the person evolves to the next level. That is the methodology. And if that works, it works. If that doesn't work, then that person will just go to psychiatrist and eat drugs. That's all. If a therapy works in the coming time, it will only be creativity therapy. No doubt about that. And that is what Veena Ganesh is doing. That is why. So, your case study is not relevant here. All right? Okay. Go to the next topic.
Okay. Okay. My learnings from the Genius Choice Fellow program is one is, I just summarized it. The word pen is not the object pen. Basically, I've been referring to the concept of referent. My understanding that the language is only a mediating aspect between the actual object and our perception or the communication of regarding that object. So that is my first understanding. So about the referent, the concept of referent, the referent reality and the referent reality perception. Then going further, this has also helped me understand the referent of many of my fears. One fear that I have always knew is, I knew it before the program also, is that it's a fear of criticism. I am not a person who is very open to criticism. I feel terribly hurt if somebody says negatively about my performance or any aspect about me. I tend to get very hurt and I take it very personally. Now coming to this program, I'm more aware of this fear, and in fact I'm aware of this fear, I mean aware of this issue as it happens. So even when I'm responding or before I responding, I tend to recognize it. Okay, now this is this fear that is in operation that is making me respond in such a manner. And from knowing to maybe I've been translated doing to some aspect. The being level, I'm not very sure, but yes, I think it is slowly moving towards that.
Wait, Anuradha.
Yeah.
Whatever happens to your being, that just cannot be differentiated, Anuradha. So it is an assumption, let's say, a very valid assumption that all the knowings, even not knowings in physics or chemistry, but fundamental knowings of related to life, self, relationships, etc. Then all the doings, including the doing of cutting vegetables, will have some consequence in the evolution of the being. Because the being, I mean, that organic being is the um, operator of the doing. So that being has definitely changed, but you may not be able to know. For example, I don't know, you know cycling? Oh, you are a master cyclist. Okay. So you cannot
Yes,
say what is balance in the body. You cannot say. Nobody can say. Because there's a change that happened to the being. You cannot know. Okay. So do not bother about that. That will automatically happen because all the doings are done by the being. So in the process
Okay.
of practicing a doing and after developing that doing, it is being has definitely changed. No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Okay.
So you don't have to bother about that. You be aware of your knowing. That also, as you said, you don't have to be aware of the knowings all the time. If some of the knowings you have been able to what you call translate into doing, that's all important. Focus is on the doing, so-called karma. If your doing of
Okay.
any kind has improved or evolved, that is critical. As you said,
Okay.
if you are able to be aware of, or rather be freely conscious about the ongoing doings of you, the external doings or the internal doings, that is a great condition. Rather, that's a great state of being.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking further about my other fears, maybe I could say fear of failure. I'm not a person who's too scared of failure, but it exists, and at a way I say a very low level, but still it does exist. Maybe, for instance, regarding maybe take for instance doing this presentation itself. I was quite scared, especially after seeing the presentation of all the other fellows in the program. I was scared oh God, will my presentation match up to their levels? Uh, or will I be able to do justice in presenting my learning in a good way? But once I've identified a fear, usually if I think through it, in most of the cases I'm able to get over it and go further. But the problem is in most of the cases I don't identify my fear. That is a problem that I always have. I don't even know if fear exists, and it blocks me at various levels. So now, how did I come to know of this? It is from feedback from others, primarily my mother. Say that when she says that that I don't even recognize something is bothering me, or that I'm scared of something. Uh, so that is the second fear, maybe I could say. And third one or thing is a fear of ambiguity. I'm a very organized person. I want everything to be as organized as possible and as planned as possible. Everything has to be very clear to me. And that is one of the reasons that I had difficulty in doing this presentation. For instance, the learnings were not clear. Maybe unlike in school, if you're taught ABCD, the test, the examination, you have to write the same thing again, or it's clear as to what you should do. But here, the agenda or what I should do is not clear.
Yes,
It is up to
Anuradha,
me to
yes,
decide
correct.
what my learning is or how. Yeah.
Yeah, Anuradha, you're
So
right.
yeah.
We are not into
Yes.
rote learning at all.
Hmm.
This I told many times also. We are just reflecting upon non-ordinary levels of ideas, concepts, perspectives, by which some change would automatically coincide in the central nervous system. Because every new knowing is a new neuronal network. Therefore, I often compare this to Jnana Yoga, the highest level of yoga. What is yoga in that sense? Is yoga meaning to get into tune with, to have communion, to be one with that operating central agent in the human entity. That is the purpose of all yoga. So, how can that happen by wisdom? So, what is wisdom? Again, a general word. By all kinds of knowledges. Yeah. What is the knowing? Even normal knowing can lead to so-called yoga. This is much more higher order. In these sessions, we have been listening to and we have been reflecting upon some non-ordinary configuration of ideas and concepts and a little bit of exercising. That's all. So we expect, not expect, I am very sure that is a change in the central nervous system, 100% clear anatomical consequence, and as a result of which, whenever it is required, appropriate responses will happen from you. That's all. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So you did not have an opportunity. You perhaps even now the remnants of your brilliant academic background are operating inside you. When you wanted to create a PPT on learnings, of course, what learning? And the only thing you can remember is concept sense, if you remember, then referent reality. That's all. What we have been doing from the very beginning. For about 3-4 sessions, we were all reflecting on a parable. You were not there. Of a woodcutter. What learning? A third standard child will understand and enjoy that parable of the woodcutter. And we discussed for 4 sessions. What learning from that? Nothing memorable learning. We don't remember anything. Even I don't remember anything. In fact, out of that, everybody said a lot of things. Actually, I remember only one thing. That is because I happened to repeat it, and that's because of the power of it. That one thing is, at the end of it, Ashwati made a statement. That's the only thing I remember about that whole 4 or 5 sessions.
Okay.
So that recollectable, that is our error. This we have clarified. You just don't care about what you remember from the sessions, Anuradha. I have already told you why highly educated scholars have never been able to make any significant discoveries or inventions or creations, because they are all brilliant. That is why. They cannot get out of the unconscious learning of so many years. That is why the
Okay.
greatest poet, forget about the greatest poet, even a normal poet who publishes a poem in a normal magazine, even that person is not an educated person. I know, for example, in Kerala state, there is a person called Balachandran Chullikad. Of the young generation of poets, he is the most recognized poet. He could get into higher education. That means he was already a well-known poet after during his plus two times. And he passed his plus two maybe at the age of 20 or something like that. He was a kind of an alcoholic. He used to go to toddy shops and things like that, and he used to write brilliant poetry. And I tried all my best to get him admission to Union Christian College, Alway, and that too for BA Malayalam. By my personal recommendation only, he got admission. Otherwise, then he got his MA also from Maharaja's College. Otherwise, let us say he is an uneducated person. Let us say so. And for your information, after his MA and all those things, he could never write anything significant again. Okay. So that learning, there is again, I repeat this for every one of you to get rid of that obsession with remembered learnings. For example, look at the case of Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak, you know who is Guru Nanak?
Sikh
Founder of
Guru.
Sikh.
Yeah, the founder of the Sikh perspective. One of the most, I think, civilized perspective. Okay, a great perspective. Who was Guru Nanak? So-called Nanak. His father. What is the father's name, Naveen?
I am missing. Not remembering. Okay.
You do not know the. You don't know the name of the father of Guru Nanak. You have
No,
never
sir.
heard.
No, sir.
All right. Okay.
No, Guru Gobind was the 10th Guru. He's the last. Guru Gobind Singh is the last 10th Guru, who is from Patna.
Guru Nanak created the Sikh religion. What is the story? I will tell you. Why I say this is, it is a very remarkable incident of ignorance or the poor quality intelligence of a person giving rise to the triggering of enlightenment. His father was a local small merchant selling rice, dal, etc. Small shop. It must have been a very small shop in a small village. And this little boy, 8, 9, 10-year-old boy, was every day assisting the father in measuring the rice. Somebody wants a rice, okay? So it will be in a measuring, whatever vessel is there, measuring that rice and putting it into the bag of the customer. So one day he was doing this activity. So father was inside the shop. I don't know whether he was there or not. So that buyer wanted to have some good quantity of rice. So he said, "Ek" in Hindi. Ek, he put one measure. Do, the second measure. Teen, the third measure. Char, panch, छः, सात, आठ, नौ, 10, 11, 12, 13. He has to measure 20. So after this tera, he goes on putting the measure and saying tera, tera, tera,
Right.
tera.
Yours.
The problem is tera in Hindi means yours.
Yeah.
Tera meaning you also. If he was a brilliant student who understood rigidly that tera meaning number 13, this sudden triggering slip would not have happened.
Right.
So suddenly he felt which tera? Is the customer who is holding the bag, or the tera the person who is measuring the rice? Or is this tera the rice being measured? Or is this tera the rice in the bag? Is the tera who wants the food? Is this tera who wants to get the money out of selling the food? Just imagine, Anuradha. Let us say, in a different vantage point, if you are a good student, tera means only number 13.
Right.
Yeah. So, as you rightly said, this rote learning is a tragedy of great intellect. But this rote learning is the advantage for millions of people to get into the jobs, because that is the only way society can manage the systems. That is why. That is why. Because there is no way, if the general population do not undergo this kind of a screening system. We cannot have so-called creative education. There is absolute clarity, at least, about creative methods of education, but that cannot be done by normal teachers. That cannot be done in normal classrooms. For example, training in thinking. How will you do in a classroom of even 10 students? Because 10 students will think in 10 different ways. Forget about what is the average number of students in the class, 50, 60. So just to give them a subject and let them mug it up, we will put them into examination. So the entire examination system, entire schooling system, university system is nothing but a screening process. That's all. So similarly, but this is not for that. This is for you to sit and reflect. And everybody was inspired in that. Look at it. Do you think anywhere in the world sessions like this is going on? For people sitting there without moving, without making a movement for 3+ hours in the night,
Right.
not even sipping a cup of tea or coffee in between. So, what does it indicate? It means somehow or the other, there something in their self is getting so-called attracted to whatever is going on. So there must be some change. There will be some change. Not some change. It is not change at all. It is not about change. I am actually doing the greatest possible probable creativity therapy by the definition of creativity therapy. I am taking you to much greater levels of orbits, to the level of the orbit of enlightenment, where you become extraordinary. Your being become extraordinary, not by mugged up knowledge of Upanishads and Vedantas, which everybody else, every other guru in the country is known throughout the world by vomiting learnings and insights from the quoting the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and other philosophies. We are not doing that. We are not doing that. So we are just servicing our engines of observation. We are just testing our engine of attention and thinking and conceptualization and imagination and visualization. Visualization and reflecting upon impossible, non-normal concepts. Just imagine in the beginning thinking about a key 50, almost above the middle, sorry to say that, above the middle-aged lady, Nitya, having wide experience in life and managing terrible problems in life, describing a normal key of the car, she cried.
Right.
That is the great shift in the being. An architect, Asudi, she felt a moment of truth when she was asked to visualize what happened to the woodcutter when he saw that the slipping head of the axe killed the enemy. That is what we call moment of truth. That is what we are trying to achieve in these sessions. And you will see the consequences only when you enter into the world of woodcutting or the world of shanoyu or the world of samurai. I mean, actual life where you interact with people. When your knowledge is tested. So that's all. So just don't bother about what you remember from this program at all, Anuradha. That's all. Okay? Okay, proceed.
Okay. Going further on my fears, yes, since my topic was about dreams, maybe I'll share one of the dreams that I get very often. It is about me being in an examination situation. I'm in an examination hall or some kind of school situation. Mostly it is a school. And I get dream that I'm in an examination hall and I'm not able to finish the paper on time, or I don't know the answers to the questions that are asked to me, something similar sort. Yeah, this comes in various various forms, I guess, various scenarios, but it is all associated with my school life, basically. I associated with my fear of being judged, or fear of maybe fear of failure in one way. This is the interpretation that I give. Yeah.
That is a seemingly valid interpretation, but see the paradox of that dream. The girl who did extraordinarily well throughout her schooling and university education, having a dream that she is not able to do the exam.
Yes.
So that is why dreams are often discounted. But as another seemingly interpreted, it is simply representing her apparent doubt about herself. That's all. She is quite capable. We can linkage it with the reality, so-called reality of life. That is, in the so-called actual, forget about it, in the fact of life, she was a marvelous performer academically. Okay. But in the fact of the dream, she was not able to. That is because she is not able to just depend upon her academic knowledge for varied requirements in life. That is why. That's why. And there are some other reasons. Anyway, as I know, I am very sure that she is a she is a marvelously successful person. But what that success and all is altogether different domain. Therefore, I don't want to talk about it. She is an extraordinary person in achieving success in something. But that is a different question. Now, that dream is relevant maybe, just very apparently, because in her jobs also, two of her main jobs, she would say she was a clear, recognized success. Then still, why that dream is there is just some apparent concern about something, that is all. And that apparent concern is very peripheral also. It is very peripheral, evidenced by the signals of the dream. There are two major signals in the dream. One is examination hall, and two is attending the exam, though there are no answers or whatever it is. But look at the fact she has been immensely successful in exams. So that is all. That is why I said categorically that her so-called fears are all very silly and peripheral. Somehow she is very obsessed about it. That is because of her performance in the exam. Because she is a master performer. And she doesn't connect with that master performance with some so-called little weaknesses. Okay. There are people with weaknesses, that's all. If it is a weakness, just disregard it. Don't try for so-called perfection. Maybe some spirit of perfection, some spirit of impeccability, we call it. Everything should be correct, which she also said. She wants everything to be organized, everything to be systematically set or managed and things like that. Okay, work environment, home environment, the design and setting of the room, they can be done like that. But a similar systematic progression or systematic setting of life and work, normal day-to-day work and relationships and other activities is rather impossible. You identify one person in the history of the world. So allow some eccentricities, Anuradha. Anuradha is not capable of that eccentricity, that is why. She is a very good girl. That is why. That is why. Don't be so good. Then all these things will vanish, okay? Go to the next slide.
Sir, one thing I want to add is that this kind of dream is very, very common in almost all the students. Even I have gone through this kind of dreams many times in my student days, and I don't know why, such as why maybe being unable to write all answers, or being late in reaching the exam centers, or forgetting the even forgetting the exam dates. Even I have gone through many times, and I have learned it from other students also, that they have also experienced this kind of dreams.
Yeah, very
Maybe
true.
due to exam tension or pressure.
Yeah, that's why we do right now in this kind of a session setting, we talk such intimate things because we know each other and we trust each other. Therefore, we openly say this. How do we know that the millions of other wonderful so-called well-known people do not have this kind of dreams? I told you I have been doing dream analysis. I have been a trainer in dreaming. There are much defeating dreams. There is a level of dream called nightmare,
Mm.
which is given a different name because after a dream, the person becomes absolutely panicky, even in 18 degrees room temperature, the entire body perspires. He removes his clothes and throws away and jumps and panic and please help me, I will die or I will get killed. That is the
Yeah.
these are all mild examples of nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite something common. When Naveen said that, I also have so-called repeated dreams. Some 2 3 times of late. Let us say, like uh, I reach the mostly in connection with the airport. I
Mm.
don't reach on time, or I miss the ticket, or I
Yeah.
forgot the date of the journey,
Right. This
or
happens also.
I miscalculate the boarding time.
Mhm.
These are the common dreams. So these are quite simple because, Meenakshi pointed out, our non-conscious is constantly aware of our conscious life also. So there may be contents in the consciousness or contents in the non-conscious which may get linkaged with the randomness of a dream. So
Right.
I said sometime back also we will have at least one session dedicated on dreaming. At that time I will tell you a little more details.
Okay.
So don't think about all those things. Most of the so-called negative dreams are not really negative.